Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number one was a story of just strategic execution and consistency coming out from Think Twice. Team Havoc had a couple moments, a couple decisive decisions that ultimately did not pan out for them. We saw an Aurora pick here, Jims, a hero we don't see that often, that we were kind of hoping to really see a performance on from Vision. Only had one engagement where he was able to isolate the carry player of iCameron on that Sparrow. Didn't work out, mostly because of Weow's phenomenal Sevarog play, getting a double Sevarog, and since then the game pretty much broke down after that. Going into game number two here, what are we looking for from Havoc to get themselves into a game number three? I think Think Twice, they just got to pretty much set an autopilot and they're feeling good. Havoc is the one feeling pressure to step up right now.
Havoc need to have a look at their sort of overall team comp. Maybe they want to try deny a couple of these picks away from Think Twice, not let them get the Sevarog. We saw Weow doing incredibly well on the Sevarog. Yeah. Weow also plays incredibly well on Grux. So I'm not sure if that's a hero you necessarily want to target unless you're going to force it within the bans. More likely going to try to take Cameron away from a hero he might not want to play. You've already shown he likes Sparrow. Maybe take the Sparrow away, or maybe even just try and take the Aurora away, which isn't going to be highly likely, but it is an option there for them to go for as well.
It's a frequent theme we see when teams pick a Sparrow. They try to really abuse that lack of mobility. I think the most common hero we see in that, other than your typical junglers with abilities to dive, is Countess sort of come to mind. Aurora we've seen, also Kwong as well. I think his pick-off potential is very, very strong, but you have to have a consistent tether there. The other aforementioned heroes is a little bit more straightforward. Countess has Shadow Slip. Obviously, Aurora has her mobility associated with her kit as well. Kwong has a little bit more of a higher skill cap, but at the same time, if you are well-versed on him and are landing those tethers, you can really, really punish a Sparrow in the back line, even if there is some sort of protection. Once that tether lands, you know what's going on in comms. Oh, guys, it's about to go down. Speaking of which, there's a draft. It's about to go down.
There is a draft.
Let's talk about it.
And I don't think Twice are going to change anything from what they did in the previous game. They have no reason to. It's up to Havoc to take the initiative here to try and put Think Twice on a slightly different composition, maybe throw them off their feet a little bit so that Havoc can get back into this game and try claw their way back. It is 1-0. It's a best of 3.
Yep.
Let's see if they can do it.
Bans are literally the exact same thing, as the dynamic duo of Bellica and Decker are not going to be in the field. Think Twice. This draft is looking a little reminiscent of game number 1. Nairnder! This is the right game, right? As Howitzer picked up their first pick for Think Twice. And Sphinx was playing a great Howitzer. Obviously, the biggest play he made, I mean, he was playing well all across the game, but the flashiest play he made, I suppose, with the most style points, was that one where he recognized that Havoc was going for the Raptors and was able to not only delay those Raptors, but only take one as well. And there's Kwong and Sevarog this time. Sevarog being picked up by Havoc. I like that, because not only is that going to be a merciless killer on a very strong jungler, but at the same time, it's the denial from Weow. But Grux is available, and I won't be surprised if they just substitute Grux on Weow instead of Sevarog.
Yeah, they are forcing Think Twice here to change up their composition, which I really like. They do take Kwang as well as a really strong offlaner on their side. They didn't have that before. They had an Aurora. Wasn't able to do too much in that previous game, but Kwang, consistent champ, can do a lot of work here. Take out the backline the same way an Aurora can. But again, it's more of a denial here from Think Twice. They now have to change up the composition they had from the previous game, and it gives Havoc sort of a much cleaner slate here. It's not the same exact team comp, so they have a much better chance here at taking this game.
Tone Blast Narbash, the Bash Blast, as I know a lot of people like to call him there, or the Nar Twin. I think Bash Splash has a Blast Bash.
I haven't heard.
There we go.
I haven't heard either of these.
You've never heard of the Blast Bash? You gotta play the Blast Bash, man. It's a great hero. It takes 2 people to play. Sorry, wrong game. So those heroes pretty much speak for themselves as far as capabilities. iCameron's been known as like the Sparrow player for a really long time, dating all the way back to like very early on in Legacy. Even when Sparrow was not really necessarily as favored as other ranged heroes at the time. So, but with that being said, he's still very comfortable on pretty much any ranged carry. Obviously, if you watch his stream, he also likes playing, I know he's a big fan of jungle Shinbi as well. That's an absolute fact, and no one can argue about that.
Doesn't sound like anything I would be happy to see in my own team composition. Guys, we're gonna play jungle Shinbi.
Don't worry. You can't stop the K-pop. You can't stop the K-pop, man. You can't stop it. Going to the draft, Gadget and Rampage here. So the drafts are looking pretty much on the other, like a complete turnaround where Rampage and Severagas and Havoc instead of the hands of Think Twice. I'm still thinking Grux is going to be picked up here for they need their jungler and they need their offlaner here, assuming that this isn't a jungle Narbash. We'll stop with the jungle nonsense. We'll stop with it. I'm sure Be Certified is out there somewhere in the world hearing someone talk about jungle Shinbi going like, it's viable, but that's okay. So I'd imagine it's going to be Grux. And as far as offlaner goes, I think there's a lot of options to be picked up here for Think Twice.
They've kind of done a sort of a roster swap, essentially like a half-time swap. Except for the mid laners. The mid laners, they've rotated around the mid lane, I should say. So the mid laners just still stay in mid. Everyone else has decided we're just going to swap champs.
Yeah, literally, yeah. There's the Grux and there's the Aurora. So with the only exception being the Gadget and the Howitzer, these drafts are shaping up to be mirrors of each other from last game. We'll see if Havoc are going to be what support they're going to be going with here. Unless it's going to be a Rampage support, then in that case, obviously, they kind of need to carry too. I hear that's pretty good for them to pick up on the field. Is I don't know, picking Sparrow into Aurora, maybe they're not comfortable with that. Yin is available. Murdoch has fallen out of favor significantly. I think it's pretty much at this point between Yin and Sparrow right now, though Grimmix isn't unheard of.
Yeah, Yin has... I'm not too sure. We haven't seen much Yin this tournament in general. It seems like she's kind of fallen a little bit out of favor. I think a lot of teams actually like the late game power of Sparrow right now, and the early game sort of mid game power of Twin Blast tends to beat out the Yin. Yin, she's in a sort of a weird gap where she's not as powerful as Sparrow in certain regards, but she can also keep up with Sparrow at the same time.
Yes.
Sort of in the mid to late stages of the game.
She's an interesting hero where her DPS output is as you mentioned, just shy of Sparrow's in that sort of theoretical world of 60 card points versus 60 card points. But obviously, it's her mobility is really where she you can't run from her, and at the same time, using that whiplash, any coordinated team is going to be setting themselves up to where if Yin is in trouble, she's able to whiplash away as well. And of course, Gale is known as a very strong ability. We saw her once yesterday, but that's not going to be the case here. Let's not dwell on the past. As of right now, this is the draft for game number 2. Very identical drafts, just on the other sides of the field here between Havoc and Think Twice. This time, Aurora in the hands of Think Twice. And same situation as before, unless Gadget or Kwong have that purity sensor inside their deck, and Malix has a Hunter Guile on the deck for Sparrow. Whoever is playing this Aurora here, and imagine it's going to be their offlaner, can do a lot of work here. Vision, we were a little bit critical of on his performance. We'll see if Think Twice can put on a show and almost sort of say, hey, Vision, this is how you do it in game number 2.
Yeah, it is going to see how this pans out. This Aurora from Think Twice as well. Same issues before. Probably have to see the Hunter's Guild come out on the Sparrow or a purity sensor across the board. Gadget does have, I believe, have access to it.
Yep.
Or is she... Yeah, Gadget, I think, can grab it potentially as well. So that is an option as well to take into account, but not likely. It's probably just going to be the Hunter's Guilds across the board on anyone with that growth affinity.
Loading into the game right now. Don't forget, guys, you know what's coming. You can head over to that match arena. Use that coupon code PCLEU number 4. And thank you so much for your generosity and hanging out and having a good time and just contributing to this wonderful event thus far. I'm loading in right here. Let me get to 5 seconds and make sure the team names are on the right side. Thanks, Pith. That's Pith's fault. He's doing the production. Just kidding. Our normal production guy, Pythian, is actually in England. He actually is. I believe him and Nate Holmes are going out for a drink there when he meets. So
I believe he's somewhere in the Midlands at this point in time, just going around doing some singing.
Is that what you do when you're in
Not
England?
Sure
you get drunk and sing?
Yeah, you drink and sing. That's all you can do here.
I'm moving to England.
All there is available.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a good time, man. I'm going to try to get my passport and Just drink and sing and shout about Paragon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough about that. Let's get into this game. James, are you ready, my man?
Yep, I'm ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Game number 2, first semifinals of the day. Day number 2 of PCL EU number 4. This is an algebra class. This is Paragon, ladies. Let's go ahead and get into this game and introduce these handsome fellows or ladies not yet determined. Vision on Kwong, Merciless Killer on Severug, Malix on Sparrow, Atrovent, a.k.a. Itropium Bromide on Rampage and anticholinergic medication, and Meyer 1612 on the Gadget. This is Havoc's last hope if they want to keep themselves alive here.
Yeah, it is. And on the side of Think Twice, we have iCameron on that Twin Blast Cosby, switching it up onto that Narbash, Weow on the Grux, Cloud on the Aurora, and Shinx on that Howitzer. And we're seeing the 5-man engage sort of invade into the jungle, clear out all this vision, and it allows them to get their wards guaranteed to sit down, which I quite like. And if they can get a pick, well, that's just an added bonus.
So far, I have to say Cloud's Aurora game already a little bit better than Vision's last game, strictly due to the skins. Hot Red Ruby Fire coming out here, and look, he like, no, look, oh, look. I think Aurora has, like, some issues paying attention, because she just sort of, like, dazes off in lane sometimes, but right now, it's just Malix and Cloud at this point in time. Where is their Narbash at? Or, I'm sorry, not their Narbash, their support. Here he comes, a little bit late to the party as they were backing up, obviously putting down their dummy wards and whatnot. So, no offensive duo lane this time around coming out here from Havoc. Instead, it's just going to be more contemporary, more normal play with the duo support over in their safe lane.
Yeah, they decided to go back. The first game, it didn't really pan out as much as they'd like, but they have a Rampage this time around, so they might try and go for the kill hill on Cloud with access to the rock. They can put out a lot of pressure here, and they can try and force Cloud to not get as much farm as he'd like. Aurora kind of slow at the wave clear on the white camps, so she's going to be sitting around here in this lane as well, then go back to the white camps, which she gets a little bit, a few more levels basically, and this lane is actually pushing in favor of her, so Cloud's going to actually be pretty happy here right now. It's not freezing above near the Havoc's tower.
A little trick you can do, we just saw Cloud do, is you can actually block the lane as it pushes in with her ice wall. And that's exactly what Cloud did, and that's why the lane wasn't frozen, pun intended, a little bit more deeper into the lane. So a little trick right there coming out from Aurora. And another trick being displayed here is First Blood coming out from Weow. Just a little bit of a stagger timing right there. Normally you see that gank come out around 3 minutes. I don't think Havoc was expecting that timing of a level 2 Grux with green buff that early. And caught off guard, give up First Blood. So already, think twice, getting themselves on the board very early.
Yeah, because they went for that freeze here with iCameron and Cosby, it forced Kwang to push up a lot higher than he would normally have to, and it means that he gets punished for it. And it looks like Shinx was getting a little bit pressured, but he does get the read here that there might be a gank coming. It is the 3-minute mark, so he's probably worried that there might be some sort of shenanigans happening.
Oh, he actually almost he hit him.
Black buff.
He actually shot. His Sphinx was just shooting randomly. He actually ended up hitting Merciless with an auto attack. So yeah, you can see he's just shooting around randomly. He knows that's what's going on. So yeah, he's got the read, and he's going to be sitting behind his tower. Merciless is pretty much at this point just wasting his time. I think the next best choice when you have that purple buff, especially for your newer players, don't forget it gives vision to opponent wards as well. So if there's no gank opportunity, at least get in communication with your teammates. Hey, there's a ward right here. We got vision of it. And you can also de-ward with it as well. And that's one of the biggest strengths, actually, competitively of the purple buff. It's not necessarily its stealth component, but more so its ability to reveal the wards and allow you to de-ward.
You do get the sort of resident duo of the jungler support running around across the map, with one of them's invisible. Like, let's just go and clear as many wards as we can.
Yeah.
We don't. The enemy team's kind of sitting under their tower. We can't really get any sort of real fights off. Let's remove as much vision as they can so that can then look when they push up to try get a fight that's in our favor.
Vision over here just hanging out. Again, Kwong deceptively difficult to take down in this situation. Obviously, Narbash doesn't have as much CC potential early on as like a Rampage, or at least a pick potential. Thunk doesn't do quite as much damage. And again, Vision just using his of the heavens, as we like to just blanket call them, to give him that armor when he needs it. Over here, Merciless Killer is going to get hit by the smash and grab. Atchivant has got the boulder queued up and is going to use it to peel at this time, but Cloud moving aggressively forward. The Hoarfrost is not going to land onto Sparrow, and that's going to be them, with that Hoarfrost not landing, making the call to retreat. They're still going to be happy. Merciless Killer was caught out. Smash and grab isolated him. Cloud rotated in beautifully, and they pick up yet another kill. 2 kills going over to Think Twice at the 5-minute mark.
Maya just looking for a little kill here, and Wow did grab that purple buff.
Oh, rip.
A little bit. Oh, he manages to land the hat.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Whew, he had about 10 health right there. It's that moment when you think you're getting away and you see the sticky bomb attached to you and you just start contemplating how many things you should have done differently in your life at that stage. I know Meyer actually might get punished for that overextension. Sphinx trying to do what he can, but as of right now, that R2000 rocket only being level 2, he might actually be the one turned around. I don't think he was expecting the Rampage. Very early ganks up. Sphinx is going to get taken out. So I don't think he was expecting Rampage to jump up from the low ground there, and Meyer gets a turnaround kill, at least gets a reprisal for not picking up that Grux kill.
It's a kill on the board for them, which is what they needed. And
yes.
Maya sitting at 8 points, not going to be too upset. The thing is, you can already see Think Twice are starting to creep ahead in farm. The CSing is already about 10, just about 10 ahead. 8 to 9, 10, like, it's around that sort of ballpark, and it's going to probably grow a lot bigger whenever an objective comes up that they want to take, because as we've seen, one of the things Think Twice are really good at are still securing all their creeps, even in the midst of all the action that's happening during the game.
Cloud doing a great job showing Aurora is still, at least in terms of being able to defend sieges early on as a offlaner with Aurora, very, very well just suited to deal with the dual lane push there. Level 5, 8 card points, already has the ward, and just will continue to sit here. Now, of course, there's certain types of play styles in the offlane. When you think someone like Ram Riddles and Be Certified, you think of a little bit more static, a little bit more farm and push-oriented. Aurora, she has decent wave clear, but really this is much more of a pick hero. This is much more of a hero you're going to see a little bit more activity of, not as much split pushing, more so engaging in fights and trying to catch people out with Cryosism and Hoarfrost. 10-minute mark is just 2.5 minutes away, and you better believe these teams are going to try to put themselves in a good position for that, as we do see Twin Blast was taken out elsewhere on the field. And that's just going to be iCameron getting taken out, and a little bit of a economical boost, but more importantly, a morale boost going over to Team Havoc, Gems.
What's really good about taking iCameron there is that he's not able to farm right now. You can already see the creeps are hitting the tower. Those are all being denied. iCameron does not get these wave or two that's coming to his tower right now. It was a really good gank because it used the purple buff to just sneak up onto Cameron. He wasn't expecting them to be in the lane. I don't think the wards caught them rotating, and he ended up getting punished for it.
The silver lining to that happening, of course, is Cosby is getting some solo experience. So 8 minutes already, halfway through level 4. So if he can hit that level, if your support can hit level 5 prior to 10 minutes, and you can have that ultimate online for your support prior to the Raptor engagement, a lot of the times, with the state of the game, the opponent's support might not be near level 5, and support's having their ultimate, especially in terms of Rampage and Narbash, very, very important. Atrovent, only level 3, so I don't foresee Atrovent, unless they give him some solo experience, which doesn't look likely, not going to have his ultimate online prior to this Raptor engagement, inevitable Raptor engagement in 10 minutes. So right now, I got to say, Think Twice is in prime position. They have a experience lead on their support, hitting level 5 more than likely prior to the Raptor engagement, and have opened up the map a little bit on the other side of the field with the Tier 1 tower falling in the offlane.
Yeah, they do get that offlane tower. You can already see the points as well. Looking at builds, nothing sort of really standing out here. Maya might have been a little bit of a position, but that rotation coming out here means that Cameron might be the one.
Sphinx got him on the other side of the field. Both of the carries go down at almost the exact same time. These teams mirroring each other action. If only we had the split camera. We're working on that production, guys. We'll get that split camera soon, once we get a couple $10,000, but that's okay. Meyer is going to get a kill onto Narbash, but he's going to get taken out by Sphinx again. Sphinx is just rotating over and securing these kills, and is looking for a kill. Beautiful knockup mine into Merciless Killer. He's going to take that last barrage, but a boulder from Atrovent is actually going to interrupt the R2000 rocket that would have killed Merciless. So Atrovent being a good support, saving his buddy, and saved what would have been a untimely death for Merciless Killer. as the Raptors here are spawning. And Meyer's going to be a little bit late to the party, but is not a stagger death to where they're going to have to completely forfeit the Raptors for any extended amount of time.
This game is looking a lot closer compared to the previous one. 1-for-1 trades in terms of kills every time. It's an equal trade. 4-4 on the board. Kills are equal, and it's going to be close. I mean, it's going to be decided on who can get this Raptor fight and potentially the Prime. I think those are the two obviously most important aspects right now. But looking at team comps, Cloud on Aurora, if he can get a really good cryo in the fights as I saw before in the other game where we had Vision doing it, it was able to take out a Cameron in a similar fashion. So hopefully we can see that happening to Malix as well, and Think Twice can look to get sort of a wombo combo going here with the Howitzer.
A little bit of a display bug going on, guys. Cosby is not at 0 HP. This is just a display bug currently with the OBS client. We'll see if we can get that remedied here in a little bit once there's a lull in the moment. There is a fix for it, but it means sort of pausing the replay real quick. So, but as of right now, we'll just sort of work around it. And but yeah, Cosby is not persistently dead prior to what you guys may think of his play style. So, Atrovent's still not level 5, even at 11 minutes. He's not going to be able to get it for some time. And these teams, I think, with that engagement that was around the 9.5-minute mark, just prior to the Raptor spawning, a little bit late for this the posturing of both of these teams. Purple buff is on Sparrow, and we do see Weehow engaging onto the Raptors. Cloud, love this positioning right here, utilizing Aurora's ability to zone, and Cosby using Crash Bang Boom. Full actually just now interrupted, but here comes the cryo system as well as to make it rain. Oh no, this is devastating. The stun is locking them in place, and all of them are just getting mowed down by the bombs coming out there. Malix does have the inner fires, trying to isolate iCamera and get a kill for himself, but Sphinx say nay, and he gets a kill on there, knocks her up in the air, and shoots her by the time she hits the ground. Didn't even know what hit her, and now Cloud is looking for more. He's going to charge in right there. Wasn't expecting to go quite as vertical as that, but that cryo system in to make it rain right there just absolutely won them that fight. That's what you want to see out of an Aurora.
4-for-1, 4-for-0 actually, board, and they can still go back and take these Raptors. They don't have to. They're just trying to get this.
Oh, they want Gadget so bad. That's my type of play right there, but I think Cloud might get punished for it. Atrovent's not going to go for the boulder. Surprisingly, I thought if there was a stun there, they could have got a kill. Ah, okay.
He already missed it just before. The jump from Cloud, barely dodging it. But because of that pushing mid from Cloud, because their attention was taken away, Weehow and Cameron do just sneak the Raptors to themselves right there. So Cameron sitting at 18 points, not going to be too upset about that. He is a little bit behind Shinx, who's been on a rampage, so to say, and sitting at 20 points, a couple of points ahead of the board across anyone on either team.
Yeah, a Sphinx as well, actually. He's actually, yeah, it's not normal you see that here, but I mean, at this point, I think it's starting to show that the heroes, these names I am not that familiar with, not to say that these aren't established people. Obviously, I'm a scumbag North American here, but Sphinx and Weehow, very, very impressive performance thus far. And I really want to continue to see how they perform not only in this game, but see if we can maybe get a little bit more stylistic plays coming out of them. As I always love seeing names I'm not familiar with come into the scene and putting on dominating performances here. Current state of the game is Think Twice, just pretty much, it's a little bit less even since that Raptor engagement now.
No, yeah, the Raptor engagement gives quite the advantage here with Think Twice. And to add on to your previous point, man, Shinx and Weehow are a duo that have been playing the game for a very long time.
Okay.
Especially since Monolith came out. They've been playing in game after game together. They're I think they're pretty much best friends. They play all the time together. They're one of the more prevalent duos that have been around in the EU scene. And they've now got a strong sort of core team around them as well. So they've come to show what they can do. They have iCamera on the carry as well, incredibly strong. And they're showing in this game how well they take these fights as well.
We've seen what the power of Brotherhood does with Arsenic and Meds, and now we're seeing the power of friendship coming out over here between these guys here. So, thus far, this Aurora, do they have any answers for it in the terms of cards over on Havoc? And it doesn't appear that they do. We are still a little bit early on. These players just now starting to finish off their third items, but generally, as a support, you always want to get that quenching scales into Honor the Pure. And Atrovent right now does have that quenching skills. Or, well, Honor the Pure, you got to have an order here to pick that one up there, Jims, for those that didn't know that. So I'd imagine, though, the only viable person to pick that up is Kwong, and that's not... That's something we see every now and then, is a Kwong picking that up. But I don't know, putting a Honor the Pure and a Purity Sensor on the Kwong really, really weakens his kill potential. That's a lot of damage you're giving up for that. And I don't even know if Vigin even has that card in his deck at this point in time.
It's not going to be likely that Purity's going to
Yeah.
Kwang. At most, it might be an Honor, but that'll be it. It's going to be pretty reliant on getting the Hunter's skills on the Sparrow so that she can survive Cryo. And again, card points, builds, add-on edges, Madstone gems, all trying to get these bonus upgrades and try get those extra stats, because that's what it is about. That's why we go for those Raptors, is to get those extra points, so that in the next couple of fights, you're going to be able to take them out a lot quicker.
Atrovent and Meyer were trying to make a push into the tier 1 tower in mid lane, but Sphinx and Weow are going to thwart off that aggression. Cosby has done... Cosby here hasn't been that sort of roaming support that we see out of the likes of support players like Master Splinter, who's very, very proactive on the map, constantly roaming. Of course, the potential downside to that is you can get behind on experience, but he's been very static, just staying at iCameron's side and just protecting his carry buddy. Anytime you want to, that's what you want to see out of a support player here. They're not going to actively push this tier 2. It looks like they just want to continue to push down that tier 2, force a response, and immediately rotate over to Raptors. And if you look at the ward game right here, a full perimeter set up by Think Twice, not only around the Raptors as a totaling 6 wards in the area, but also around the Orb Prime and the weak side of the jungle of their opponent.
They are taking these Raptors very quickly. However, Havoc are rotating it, and
Merciless is in a lot of trouble. He's in a very, very bad spot. There's the Cryo System as well. It's outside of the Make It Rain, but it's still... There's so much damage going down. The Horfrast is going to isolate Merciless as well. Cosby's going to knock him off with the last barrage. Merciless Killer still not able to get away. iCameron is getting cut down by Vigin at this point in time, but that's okay. Sphinx is going to get isolated, going to get taken out. Atrovent does not have that ultimate. He has no regen available here. Has to be very, very careful. An awkward team fight. Malix is going to secure the kill on the Narbash, and they're going to look for more, specifically iCameron. Do they have any form of CC? The tether doesn't land. Even if it was to land, there is no ultimate from him, and also not much mana working with as well. So the Raptor engagement. Oh, iCameron, Atrovent. That was a very, very, I think, just a miscalculation right there. The black buff is on Malix. He was looking for a kill on iCameron, but we out back from the grave. He's not going to be able to land that smash and grab. Malix is going to run away right there. In all of that, I wasn't able to spot out who got those Raptors, Gems.
I'm pretty sure iCameron managed to secure the majority of those. He's at 27. He's caught up to Shinx here, which I've been told by our resident admin here. You've been butchering his name slightly.
Oh, what, Sphinx? Am I calling him Shinx? Shinx.
It's Shinx, yeah.
That's all right. At this point in time,
Shinx,
me butchering people's names is just a meme. So, Shinx. Nailed it.
So hopefully that is sorted out. But yeah, 27 card points on 2 of the guys on Think Twice. Shinx and iCameron just hit 28 now as well, but Cosby, I'm not sure if that's a bug or not, but he's only at 11 points for me.
Yeah, that's a display bug. We'll see here. We're going to see if we can remedy that real quick here, chat, as Jim say hello to everyone. Hey, guys. How are you? Welcome. We're going to boom, and then we're going to boom, and there we go. And oh my gosh, we're back in it, and suddenly Cosby's level 7, has full health and full mana. So we did it there, boys. Going back into the game now that we got that display bug remedied here. Shinx at 28 card points. Yeah, iCameron, after seeing that now that he's ahead of Shinx and thoroughly ahead of Malix, a full 3 card levels, an entire item, picking up those Raptors as well as has the gold buff. Havoc has done a much better job this game. The team fights have been a little bit more even, but even with that being said, Jims, they still Think Twice is still edging out a lead in these engagements. Even though it's a small one, it's still significant enough to where they have a substantial economical lead at this stage.
Yeah, it does, and you could see a fight kind of breaking out around the river just shortly, but I don't think much is going to come out of it.
Merciless look for a Subjugate isn't going to land. Meyer has the purple buff, going to reveal these wards here. And the biggest thing, man, about that Raptors is just There was no way that Havoc was going to get anywhere near that Raptor camp without Think Twice being completely aware of how many people there, who was there, and exactly where they are. Just a very heads up, knowing the timing of those Raptors, and accordingly dropping wards all over the place, saving their wards for that timing, recognizing that that objective is so very important. They continue to, even though that, like I said, they didn't take necessarily a favorable engagement, maybe slightly favorable when after iCameron got that pick off onto Atrovent. But even in that situation, even if it wasn't a favorable engagement for them, maybe it was a 2 for 3 or something, if you're able to pick up all 3 of those Raptors, you're going to take that any day of the week.
Yeah, the Raptors are incredibly powerful. We've been mentioning it time and time again. Those 3 CP straight onto your carry sets them so far ahead that they're going to be able to put out a lot of damage. This is the thing with Twin Blast, is he can duel Sparrow for a vast majority of the game.
Yes.
Sparrow kind of has to get to near the 60-point mark before Sparrow can actually hit that piercing shot for like half of Twin Blast's health, and then a couple of inner fire hits as well. But until then, if you get to the Raptors, which iCameron has been getting and has been fed to him, he's going to be able to constantly do a lot more work than what Mannix is going to be able to do.
21-minute mark. Astrovent's going to get caught out, immediately force out the ultimate, but he's just bursted down by the time he's able to do much of anything. So that 36 seconds without the Rampage right as the dinosaurs spawn up here. And I don't really think Havoc's going to be able to do much of anything. They're going to try, it appears, as Merciless Killer and Meyer, the ones in the front lanes, maybe looking for potential pickoff here. iCameron does get picked off as the Sticky Bomb and Tesla Dome immediately switch him up here. But it's still a 4v4, and they still might be able to turn this around. We do hear Malix using the inner fire, trying to do what he can, but the Make It Rain is going to completely zone him out, and it's going to isolate Vision. Vision has pretty much been completely abandoned with Malix trying to do what he can. So iCameron was taken out, but again, I believe he was able to pick up those Raptors. And if that's the case, yeah, judging by the card experience right there at 33, I still think they're going to be okay with that. If they only lost iCameron, they're going to be able to stabilize, and they're not going to give up much ground.
I think you only got 2 of them. I'm not sure if you got all 3, because Raptors are still up right now. I think there's still just the one.
Yes.
Raptor. Yeah, there is just the one left. So he only managed to grab 2 of them. It is going to be quickly taken here shortly by Malix and Merciless. However, it's not going to be the end of the world here for Think Twice. They've still got a pretty decent lead. But Maya and Malix are not too far behind now. They're only like 2 or 3 points behind total. One more fight around this Raptors. If they manage to get a similar sort of situation where they get a couple of picks, they could match up in points. They can try and then go for the Prime and try and get sort of a snowball going in their own favor.
And taking a look at the card update here, actually Vision does have a Purity Sensor on board, so they do have a one pretty much hard counter to Aurora's Cryosystem, and also Malix has the Hunter's Guile and a Blink Charm. So a lot of tools on the field for Havoc to deal with Cloud, to deal with that Aurora Cryosystem and the Hoarfrost. But even with that being said, there's still plenty of CC to go around between Narbash, Grux, Howitzer. That it's going to be very, very tricky when you have that Purity Sensor. Ideally, you always want to save it for the Cryosystem, but there's going to be situations, especially if they get caught in an unfavorable engagement, where you're going to have to use that. And of course, I believe at level 13, Cryosystem is a lower cooldown than that of Purity Sensor. Purity Sensor being 90 seconds. Don't know that off the top of my head. So a good Aurora player is still going to be able to work around that Purity Sensor, no doubt about it.
It is going to look that way, but the teams are now starting to posture around this mid lane. The river buffs were up, and hopefully we see a team fight break out.
Sphinx got Meyer very, very low right there. Immediately decided to disengage as he dropped into not a very good position. I was going to Teleblink away. Tether doesn't land on camera. They were looking for it. Now a re-engagement. There's the Thunk onto Merciless, and he's going to be able... Oh, the Hoarfrost was so preemptively put up by Cloud. That was so beautifully done right there. Now, he caught out Atrovent, but more so he was able to keep Sevarog from getting away. In 2 kills, the front line has been knocked down here for Havoc, and the Raptors may be up, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a very strong Tier 2 push, or even a Tier 2 fall back to the Orb Prime. They got plenty of time and plenty of momentum to work with here.
It might just be prime time for these guys. They might want to go push it. However, it is also a pretty free Tier 2. They don't have to risk going around the Prime Pit and getting wombo comboed out here from the Tesla Dome and the Quang Fury from the Heavens and looks like that's what they're going to do.
Oh, Meyer blinks forward.
Get the tower.
Into 4. That was a very aggressive blink forward there. Potentially could have got punished, but you can see just think twice, just want to get out of there. They're going to be happy with that tier 2 exchange and run away. Raptors are going to be spawning here in approximately about, looks like about 2 minutes, judging by the ring right there. But yeah, that's that Hoarfrost from Cloud single-handedly allowed them to get those 2 kills and open up that opportunity to push down mid lane.
Yeah, it does also remove the jump pads, makes rotation slightly slower here for by a couple of seconds here for Havoc, which is going to potentially matter if we do those sort of one person gets killed, sort of daisy chain deaths that we can see happening quite often, especially with teams consistently looking to try to get like the single pick off before they go for one of these bigger objectives.
Shinx, as it said, has picked up the thick blood. So obviously that's that thick blood is in direct response to the strength of quenching scales, but also it does have some ancillary benefits of dealing with Rampage's health regen when he's in that ultimate form, and as well as lifesteal as well. Lifesteal isn't yet onto the field. Sparrow hasn't hit that point, but so their thick blood main utilization is to deal with the quenching scales. And then after that, it's also very good at dealing with Narbash and his health regeneration. So that's pretty much a standard card. Generally, you see at least one of those on each side of the field here, just in a direct response to late-game lifesteal and quenching skills.
There's also the fact that we see an extra purity coming out from Cosby. He himself wants to stop the Rampage Rock, hitting a Cameron going for the Hunter's Guild as well. And we're seeing Thermobond, Toxigel, and Weow going from a much more tankier Grux build here. Not a lot of damage here.
At least over in North America, it's very common where the Grux goes triple Madstone. Myers is going to get smash and grab. A rocket point blank to the face. There's going to be another untimely death here. Subjugate looking for Weow. Not going to land, though. Even if that did land, there really wasn't much kill potential. As it is a 4v5, Gadget's going to be off the field, and that's going to make Think Twice very comfortable to take this, obviously due to the numbers advantage, but also they don't have to worry about Gadget stealing it with a Tesla Dome, as it's fairly easy to do that with how quickly the damage of Tesla Dome ticks at a very high interval. So this is just going to be a continuing economical lead being built up here for Think Twice. And they're just going to continue to do what they do. And just that those pickoffs at this stage of the game open up for your opponent so much that past 20 to 25 minutes, you have to be so consistent. Because if you do get caught out, and especially if it's staggered deaths, even if you do find yourself at a advantage, whether it's economically, map control, momentum, whatever it may be, that advantage can be completely null and void in an instant.
Yeah. With this lead that they've built themselves, it also means that they can potentially just go here for the Prime. If they can get some vision control on it, because of the power lead they have, they can potentially take it a lot quicker than Havoc might anticipate. So they can try sneak it, take it quickly, because of the amount of power they have, because of things like blood-soaked armor on the Grux, because he's gone more tanky, he can also tank it for a lot longer. He can sit there taking the damage and be able to still be relatively healthy for the fight right after it.
And you can tell, just judging by how the wards are going down and by the positioning of Think Twice, that they're measuring up this Orb Prime and looking for more. Sphinx goes in, looks for a landmine, knocks Atrovent out of position into the Hoarfrost. He's going to get taken out immediately. That aggressive Teleblink, knocking them and forcing them out of position. No Rampage to be had, and they're continuing the aggression. As they turn around, coming out of the weak side of the jungle. Another Teleblink for both of them. The knock-up into the Hoarfrost, the crowd control. And the coordination coming out here from Think Twice is just a display to behold. And now they have a couple decisions to be made here. All of them result in them building a continuing advantage, whether that is pushing down another Tier 2 tower or going for this Orb Prime. And it looks like it's prime time, ladies and gentlemen.
It is prime, and it is going to be fairly uncontested. Unless by some miracle we get the Gadget hat.
He misses the Teleblink. Well, was looking for it,
I think
but
he's gonna be
unfortunately,
pretty happy he missed that one.
Yeah, because it probably wouldn't have been that good, but he's going to get caught out as Shinx comes in there. And the forecast for weather is death. As the last barrage of Make It Rain takes out Gadget. looking for Merciless Killer. He does have enough mana for an R2000 rocket, so if he's able to hit it... Oh, nope, he's just going to teleblink forward and casually hit him under the tower. Might go down if Atrovent can swipe his claws, but the Thunk is going to isolate Atrovent and keep him away from taking out Shinx. As that may have been pretty decently. Cloud actually dodges the piercing arrow. Probably wouldn't have killed him, as he does have a little bit of survivability on board as well. But yeah, they were able to get the Orb Prime. They didn't give up too many kills, and now mid lane, it looks to be taken out here, Gems.
It's also the regen Prime. They can just kind of go back into the lane. You can already see Shinx is already nearly half health and half mana, even though he was already he was only about 10 HP before. It does mean they get this inhibitor. They're probably not going to look to end the game. There are 3 up, and they don't really have all their cooldowns available to them just yet. So inhibitor forces that push in the mid lane that has to be dealt with throughout the game. Will allow Think Twice to then go around the map and take other objectives with a bit more ease for them, and they're still going to be pretty happy with what they've achieved with this Prime.
Vision getting very aggressive. He finds a tether on a Cosby, who's pretty much by himself. The rest of his team is in tow. Boulder smacks the wall. If that was to land, it might have been a possible engagement, but it's such a risky proposition, taking that engagement right around the corner of the Orb Prime pit, especially when you don't have vision there, which, I mean, they had a ward, but it wouldn't have given them enough heads up to really be able to do anything about it. So, fortuitous, though it may be, they are going to be able to get away. Not Meyer, though. As he just pretty much gets caught out of position around the Orb Prime pit, and Weow with the Shadow Plane buff is now looking for Vision. They know he's there. The ward is on deep into the deep side of the weak side jungle here. And I was caught out Atrovent too, so actually might be able to kill if the smash and grab lands into the R2000 rocket. The landmine wasn't even necessary; it was there in case they needed it. And now Atrovent again off the field for 35 seconds. Cameron pushing down the right lane with the rest of his team in mid lane. There's many different avenues for a win right here for Think Twice, Gems.
One thing I need to note is Havoc's ward coverage has always been around the Raptor pit, which means Think Twice, when they shifted their ward coverage onto the Orb Prime side of the map, Havoc didn't have anything, which is why you see things like Maya and Atrovent getting caught out, because they don't know who's around that side of the map, but Think Twice have complete control of the entirety of that Prime side of the map, and you can already see how much that's actually paying off for them, just having that vision there.
You hear the Inner Fire by Malix forced to be used to clear out the wave. Vision just goes in there, but Shinx can be able to dodge it. Cosby gets hit by a subjugate, but it doesn't even matter as they really didn't engage, as Cloud just goes right on in there and is looking for to isolate Malix in the backline, as well as Weow. Honor the Pure is there to give the damage mitigation for Weow to get away. And this is a very scrappy engagement on both sides of the field. The Crash Bang Boom is going to knock 2 people just outside of the rim. And there is the Horror Frost as well. Cloud goes down. Risey lands the Horror Frost, but it's not enough. They're able to get out of it using the Hunter's Guile as well as that Purity Sensor. So actually, it appears that Havoc is going to try to continue to force this engagement. They have to be careful because Cameron is going to try to take down Malix. He's going to be able to do what he does. He's going to give his life up for it, but a 1-for-1. Shinx is also in a battle on the other side of the field. He gets taken out by Mayer. So a 2-for-4 exchange. A scrappy engagement, maybe a little bit overzealous coming out from Think Twice, but even given that state of that match, it's the first fight that Havoc's going to come out of with, I guess you could say, an advantage. But judging by the map, they're really not going to be able to do much of anything after this.
No, it just gives them a little bit of extra power. It's a solid defense for them. They do save that other inhibitor. Malix was able to survive a lot longer than he necessarily should have. It was a bit of an overextension by Think Twice, with only 2 of them dropping onto Malix. You only had the Grux and the Aurora, and no other real follow-up. So Malix was able to get away the first instance of the fight and survive a little bit longer than they would have liked. And it means they do get a little bit of a breather here. They are able to just soak up a little bit of the CXP, take a couple of these waves coming in, which is kind of what they need right now. They need to try catch up a little bit, specifically on Malix on card points. He is still about 10 points behind Cameron, and that's not exactly where he wants to be right now.
Yeah, we haven't taken a look at the numbers here in quite some time, as these teams have been constantly going at it here. Cameron near full build, has his crit bonus online, that Blast Harness. Not a very common card on Twin Blast. Normally you see either the Hunger Maul or the Blade of Agora, but a little bit of a difference. But still, the same result coming out here with high DPS potential with that crit bonus. Ash of the Witch, pretty much a standard card in the late game situation for Gadget, building onto that snare, or the slow, rather, that's associated with Tesla Dome. Raptors are being taken by just 4 team members right here of Havoc, as Atrovent has been delegated to dealing with the push in mid lane. Cosby's in the front line. Uses the Crash Bang Boom, and Vision, all he needed was just a little bit of a snare, and iCameron just hit him a few times. Now they're looking for a kill on the Cosby, but this is a very all-in play by Merciless. He used the Colossal Blow. It was a big swing and a miss right there. Cosby does get taken out by the Sticky Bomb, but still the support at this stage of the game, as We Out is beautifully done, is going to swing around here to make it rain, the double smash, and grab the Cryo System as well. Good lord, the Wombo combo. And 2 immediately go down. Only the lone support of Atrovent is here to try to keep this game and keep Havoc's hopes inside of PCL EU number 4 alive. And barring some miracle, barring some act of God, I do not foresee Havoc getting themselves into the game, as Atrovent's going to get focus fired down. And this is going to be Team Think Twice. Even though Cosby may not be... North America's representation is dead at this point in time. He still carried his weight, damn it. And this is going to be a 2-0 going over to the team of Think Twice.
Really strong, consistent play coming out here from Think Twice. Havoc trying to force a fight they might not necessarily have needed to, trying to take out Cosby, and they ended up getting punished and ended up losing the game off of that, with Merciless just going a little bit too far in, kind of baiting his own team into an unfavorable engagement, and that was all she wrote.
Well, guys, there's our first finalist, Team Think Twice. Familiar names of an unfamiliar team, but played very, very well. We're going to see who their opponent is going to be here with the next semifinals coming up. James, if you could do me the favor of pronouncing these team names, because I feel like you're more well-equipped to say it than I am, of the next matchup here.
When we get, if I can remember who we have, I think we have Synergy.
Yep.
Against Palazzi. Let me get up.
You can do it.
I can't remember the full name.
Come on.
It's the Polish team, but it's Palazzi Zapolski PL.
Team PL.
It is the Polish team. Yeah, Team PL, or Team Poland, I believe is how it roughly translates. Or I think it's Poland's from Poland, or the Poles from Poland.
The Poles, okay. I'll go with Team PL for now. I don't think that I don't want to slaughter their language and disrespect them in any way, shape, or form. Guys, we're going to cut it to a very small break here. Jim's dropping the knowledge bombs, as always, and we're going to continue to get the insight from him as we lead into the second semifinals of the day and round out the broadcast into the finals. Thank you guys so much for your support. Don't go anywhere. Grab a drink. Be back in a couple minutes for the next semifinals. See you there.